everybody, welcome. My name is Rubydung. Welcome to today's episode. As you can see, I'm over here at the main base. I got a very special thing out for you guys today. If I hit F3, a new update has just rolled out. Minecraft 1.8. It's exciting. Look at it. Minecraft 1.8. It's finally here after about a year now. I have to go check, but it's been a while since we got like a full-blown official update. This thing's been sitting around in the snapshots for a while now. I got the update logs right here, and I am prepared to show you guys some stuff that changed. So, the most notable, I guess, there's a lot of very notable ones, but the one that is going to wind up being the easiest for me to show for you guys here immediately is actually kind of weird. So it involves quartz and cobble, in which case we got a whole new variation of blocks. So let me place this down right over here. This is called diorite. It generates naturally in the world, but for worlds like mine, they made it so you could be able to craft it. It requires quartz though, so it's a bit pricey, if you would. So I am able to craft this though. It looks interesting. I don't know how much of a fan of it I am, but also, in addition to that, I can go over here and put one piece of diorite and one piece of cobble in, and I can now get andesite, which basically is just a rougher looking cobble in my opinion. It's like this weird stage between cobble and stone. So it kind of has this weird thing just because it's gray. So because it's a gray block, I think it's going to wind up getting used a lot. Like, if you can put just about any gray block into the game and people are going to use it, so that's perfectly fine. While if I do the same thing with a piece of diorite and a piece of quartz, we get granite. Interestingly enough, I put in one piece of diorite and one piece of cobble and got 2 andesite, but put in one piece of diorite and one piece of quartz and got 1 granite. Granite apparently is extraordinarily expensive, even though in my opinion, looking at them, I think that andesite's probably the better looking of the two, because I don't know how much I like granite. But the thing about them that is probably the most notable is that I can go back through here. So let's make another one of these, more diorite, and let's make another one like this, and let's make one more just for old time's sake. Put in one here, grab that, and then one here and one here. Do that. Alright, it's not nearly enough andesite, but I'm not going to spend all my quartz just making granite. But if I go through here and do this and this, might as well also, like, actually complete the thing, not not half do it. Come on. Let's do it full way. Go through here and put this in. So this is the polished versions of each of the three, which I think is a lot better than each of the three individually. Being able to have kind of the more blocked and being able to be more of a precise polished thing opposed to the weird cracked stuff. Once again, I'm a big fan of andesite. Gray is just a good color all around. Just being able to use lots and lots of grays is always great. White is also another interesting one because you can use whites in all sorts of places. I'm not even sure what color this is, but I don't know how great this is. I guess I could go with my oak wood. So I guess if any of these blocks I would use, surprisingly enough, it could wind up being the granite, but it's too expensive for me to bother using, and it's not generated a lot in this world just because I've already explored most of it. Unless I want to go out to a new part of my world and go mining there, I'm not going to wind up getting a lot of this stuff. So probably going to wind up using it very sparingly. And if I do wind up using any of it, I feel andesite's probably the best just because it feels like the cheapest of the options in my opinion. Because you are going to wind up getting 2 off of just simply doing this. and you're going to wind up getting another 2 just off doing this. So, like, you get 3 at a time, which is a lot better than the Granite's one, which you just get 2 at a time. So, I feel that Andesite's the way better deal of the 2, so... Alright, next up is a whole bunch of crafting items. So first off, let's make a 9x9 of slimes. Put this down, we get a slime block, just like the other valuable blocks in the game. It's a 9x9 of 1 resource to get a block. So basically turn that from a material into a block, and we get a slime block. So as you can see, it is just a small green block. You can see a small other thing floating in the center. I don't think this is going to be too aesthetic, but mechanically it is very interesting because if you notice, if I jump on top of it and let myself just stand there afterwards, I sit there and bounce at a decreasingly variable, approaching 0, if you will. But presumably this is never at 0, but I guess I actually am. Like, I presume they had to actually mechanically put that in, so I'm not just bouncing infinitely. But yeah. The actual thing of this is that if you land on it, it will block fall damage as well. So that is very exciting. Next up, also if you put it into a crafting square, you get your slime balls back. So this is basically a more compact way of storing slime balls. Next up is going to be an iron trap door. Now this operates almost exactly like how a iron door does. If you give it a redstone signal, it will flip up. If you don't, it will stay in the down position. It is an iron door turned into a trapdoor. Nothing surprising there. Next up is going to be using coarse dirt and gravel. You get coarse dirt. So putting some of this side by side and then putting some dirt by, you can see it's basically a more roughed up version of dirt. You can use this for things like pathing and such. This is a more aesthetic block. I don't use dirt a lot in my base, so I don't know how often I'll be using this, but it is a new, very interesting block. I can absolutely see people using this for pathing. Next up, making almost covering the top of the crafting table with some wool. Any color wool will do. I'm just using black wool in this instance to get what is called a black banner. I can put this down, in which case you can just see it is a floating square of black. If I look at the very top part, nothing happens if I try to punch the down part here. You see I go to break this bookshelf, but if I try to break the top portion here, then it will pop off. You can place it on walls, you can also place it on the floor, except once again, can't break it by doing this from the front. You wind up hitting right through it. You have to hit the bottom part of it, in which case it breaks like that. But more notably is if you put this in the very center, and grab some bone meal or any other type of dye dough, you can wind up creating some weird patterns. There's a whole ton in the game. I cannot go over all of them, but you'll wind up getting a banner with a pattern. For this part, I covered the lower third in just a splash of white. There is so many combinations. It's not just the one time you can do this. Is like a ridiculous number of times. So you will wind up getting like very particular looking things. People have already created some insane looking designs. So next up is going to wind up being doors. So I go to craft a door here. We're now going to be getting 3, as you can see. Pull that out. Doors can now officially stack. So if I put this down and then break it, pick it up, it's now in the stack. So you can now officially stack doors. This is going to be good for people who like building iron farms and such. But also, if I wind up going through here and crafting a door, you can wind up seeing I have a new door type. This looks different. For every single wood type, there is now a different type of door. So for example, if I were to go through here and put in some of them, this is going to wind up being the dark oak version, I believe. Yeah, dark oak. So this is oak, dark oak, and there is going to be one for every wood type. So we now have jungle, spruce, and acacia. So, boom, boom, and boom. Looking at some of these, I actually surprisingly like the acacia one. It feels very open, like, I really do like this design. It's not going to be something I use in the base. I'm probably going to wind up sticking with the oak door just because the rest of my base is made out of oak. But if I ever wanted to do some special stuff, I can see a lot of people using spruce. Like, this feels very, like, classical and fantasy looking. I can't imagine too many people using jungle. I'm not sure what this design is supposed to be, but once again, people weren't going to use jungle anyways. People don't like jungle, so not surprised. While the dark oak here feels very royal, this feels like something people would like to put on the front of their like mansions or something. So that is what we got for doors now. They also did this for fences and gates, but I'm not going to show that to you guys because the actual change itself isn't too surprising. It's basically just changing the wood colorization of a fence. So like if you can see, like if I were to put a fence down, boom, you see this is an oak pattern. Yeah, now they changed that with the other wood patterns. It's not surprising. I'm not going to bother showing that off. Then off here a little bit from the base, we have a roaming sheep. If I pull out my axe and kill it, we are now going to get in our inventory something called raw mutton. So I can this is now one of the last passive mobs to actually drop food when killed. Chickens dropped chicken, cows dropped beef, pigs dropped pork. Every single one dropped a form of meat, except for sheep. They never dropped anything, and now they officially dropped mutton. I don't think this is going to be even remotely useful, but it's now something in the game for people who apparently want to farm sheep. I guess in the event I wanted to try swapping my cow farm over to a sheep farm so I can get passive wool so I wouldn't have to shear anything, but I do not understand how that is remotely useful. Just farming cows is going to wind up being far better anyways, just because leather is such a good substance to farm, while wool is significantly easy, and you don't have to kill them to do it. So, yeah, I can't imagine mutton being used for too much, but you can smelt the stuff, so throw that in there, and if I were to throw a fuel source in, that would wind up being cooked. Also, let me grab some ender pearls and eat some food. But they also decided to add another new passive mob. It's called a rabbit. I'm not going to show it on camera. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a rabbit. If you were to kill it, it can give you rabbit meat. So if you wanted rabbit meat, that's the thing that you can get. It also drops its own miniature version of hide. It's the exact same as leather, except you need more of it to create leather. It's weird. It's not anything that I can imagine being even useful in the future. There is also rabbit's foot, which I can't imagine being too useful for the future, but it is apparently used for potion making, so that is something to keep in mind. Next up, if I wind up throwing some ender pearls here, you'll wind up seeing a brand new creature. This thing is called an endermite. It's very similar to silverfish. It's just a small little dot creature that sits there and hunts you down after you throw an ender pearl. I suppose it's just a small consequence for throwing a whole bunch of ender pearls. I think the damage is already enough, so this thing is basically just a nerf to ender pearls, I guess. And if I remember, it doesn't do that much damage. Yeah, about half a heart. It does half to 1 heart, so not much. They also don't have a ton of health. It's just a small little thing. Basically just there to be an annoyance about people who spam ender pearls, I guess. So nothing really of note for that thing. And finally, in the realms of crafting, we now have, with 1 stone slab and a whole bunch of sticks, we now have the armor stand. So what this is a little dude. He just kind of stands around. He's you can punch him and break him and put him back down again. You also can do little angular stuff. So if you want to put him on angles or something, he gets placed around like that. But more importantly is if you go around here and let's say I want to grab this old set of armor and do this, I can now dress up all of the armor that I have and put it on this dude, and if I were to punch him, he drops it all and it's undamaged, so I can then go through here and put it all back in its chest, nice and good, and then put the thing back down and put a new set of armor on it. So this is basically just a way to display your armors. this is actually a way better method than just putting it in a chest, because as you can see, with 4 armor stands, I can put like 1 armor stand in each of the corners of this base and clear out every slot in this item, in this chest right here, just to get rid of all of the armors that I have stored in here. So this is useful for like storage and display, kind of, just because armor takes up so much space. But these guys also kind of do, so a chest is technically still more useful because this takes up a block, while putting down a chest also takes a block. This technically takes 2 blocks, I guess, but I'm just going to use the horizontal space it takes up. A singular chest will have a 9x3, while this can only hold armor and has 4 slots. So technically the chest is still more useful, but this is a more grandiose way of storing it. Next up is that there is more changes with stone brick. If I put 2 things somewhere like this, if I put this in here, yeah. So if I put in a little slab here and lets this thing cook, I didn't get finished, but as you saw there, they also added furnace decay, so this went up and then decayed back down. If I was fast enough, I could have put another fuel source back in there. But what basically happens for that is if I do let it cooked all the way through, I could have gotten cracked stone bricks. Also, I can make mossy ones by, if I had any vines, I can put a singular stone brick and a vine, get a mossy stone brick, and the same goes for cobble now. So, cobble is now significantly easier to get your hands on. You no longer have to go raid dungeons for it, so that's very nice. Next up, let's go into the options. So we have this game menu right here, as you can read. But we now have a couple of things of note for the series. For one, we now have new skin options. So there's a couple of different things we can do with skins. We now have this that you can wind up doing. So if you wanted to create something very particular, you can wind up doing that. But more in particular, as you can see that there is some interesting stuff going on here. There is now multiple layers you can wind up adding to a skin. I have not done that. I am just going to continue using the same skin as I have always been. I'm not going to use these weird layering stuff because I'm sure this will lead to very interesting skins in the future, but this is not, this will not be changing how I use my skin. So I'm sure we could wind up creating some weird looking thing. Like if I wanted, I could probably now have like an actual looking portal gun in my hand or something like that to really help suit Chell, but I'm not going to be doing anything like that. Next up, you can see there's a little lock bar right here next to the difficulty. Well, I'm about to hit this lock bar because if I hit this, are you sure you want to lock the difficulty of this world? This will set the world to always be hard. You will never be able to change this again. This is lock difficulty. So, in this whole series, I have been having it be played on hard difficulty, and that's just how the world has always been. And up until now, you just kind of had to take in my word that I've always had it on hard. Well, now you can trust me, because it's now locked. I will never be able to change this. It's not like I really have. I think I changed it once for an April Fool's episode, so yeah. This is now just locked. This is how it is. We're now in hard difficulty for the rest of time. So, this is how that is going to be going for now, but that's what we have for the menu. Next up is now going to be in the realms of enchanting. So, if I go to open this up, you can see there is now a new slot in the enchanting table, and you can probably tell what this little silhouette is. That is lapis lazuli. You now are required by default, like, I don't think there's a way to change that, to use lapis when enchanting. So, lapis now has a use, you have to use it when enchanting. It's great that lapis now has a use, it's just now kind of annoying that whenever I enchant something now, I will now need to use lapis, so that's gonna be annoying. But also, they added a new enchantment to the game called Depth Strider. So whenever I can manage to get that, I can put that onto my boots here, and that means I will be able to swim faster in water, which will be absolutely fantastic, because we've had a couple of water-based enchantments, mainly on helmets, as of previously, but whenever you would fall in the water, you just kind of had to slowly trudge your way through there. But now with Depth Strider, you can move through there so quickly. It's so nice. You no longer have to sit there and laboriously move through the water. It's now an actual, like, decently sped thing. Alright, now, next up is actually going to be dealing with beacons. So, I am going to go all the way over to the beacon out in the middle of my bay. This is, what I would consider one of my primary beacons. But if I were to walk all the way out here, we'll swim all the way out here, and I have a few glass blocks on me. If I were to put this down, boom, the color of the beacon light completely changes. So, instead of being forced to have all of these white lights all across my base, I can decide on a very particular color. So, let's say, for example, let me break this. I can wind up being like, ooh, I want yellow! So I now have a large beam of yellow going all the way up into the sky. Or I can be like, you know what, no, I want to blend in. I want it to be a black beam. So when night comes, it's a large beam of black in the night. So I can now decide on a very particular color in the event I am wanting to worry about that, which I probably am going to wind up doing. But yeah, that is now something I can do. I can have each of my beacons be a different color. If you guys have any ideas for beacon colors, be sure to tell me, because color has never been one of my strong suits, so I'm very interested to hear what you guys have for colors. I have a whole ton of beacons in my base, so very interested to see what patterns you guys want to come up with. Next up is going to be the daylight sensor. If I were to place this down and then click it, you can see the color of it changes. This is the new night sensor, so is basically the exact same thing as a daylight sensor, except it now measures night light, so it measures the moonlight and does the reverse thing. So you no longer have to reverse the signal of one of these in order to make like your night street lamps. You just simply click on it and the thing will light up whenever night light comes out. So that is nice and cool. So it's now a lot easier to build night lamps. And next up, I'm going to run all the way up to the main base for this. This is a very small thing, but I think it's very interesting, is buttons. You can now get a button, place it on the ground, or picking it up, you can also place on the ceiling. Woo! Doesn't do too much. It's not too much of a drastic thing, but if I were to put it up here, then I can, like, do that. Yeah, it's just a small little thing. I think it's going to be very cool for people who really like redstone. You now have more options for buttons. If you want to get a vertical signal, you're no longer stuck with having to use a lever. You can now use a button for that. So that's nice and cool. And to round off all of the updates that we have gotten, the last of the few is going to be to do with villagers. So villager breeding now works kind of differently. We now, for villager breeding, villagers will now only breed if they are sufficiently fed. So villagers kind of get hungry now. They're not going to die, but in order to have babies, they need to eat food. And then after they eat food, they'll have a baby, and that is where it will go from there. So I am no longer capable of just having villagers stuck up above. I now need to absolutely change the villager breeding system if I ever hope to get villagers in my villager, like, sorting area ever again. So that needs to be changed. It was needing to be changed for a long time anyways. But yeah, that needs to be changed now, like 100%. But of the last few, they also changed a little bit about block IDs. All that's really going to matter now is that whenever I hover over an item, you're basically going to be seeing a small tag underneath it. For example, if I hover over a bed, you can see Minecraft : bed. That's basically all that's going to be changing here, is that they now have that display. This is going to affect people who do a lot of stuff in like creative and such, and like using commands. I don't use any of that kind of stuff, so it doesn't wind up affecting me in the slightest. And the very last thing in today's episode is going to be all the way down here. If I look down this tunnel for the first time in a long time, you can see so far all the way out to render distance, and if I walk all the way over here and look down this, they finally got rid of Void Fog. After so long, Void Fog has been in the game for quite some time. It really undersold, like, the look of this area down here, because this is the first major project I had in this world. This was done entirely with an iron pick, well, multiple iron picks. And, yeah, this was, like, such an old project, no enchanting whatsoever, and it just kind of looked like some dumb thing from forever ago. But now this has like a true scale to it. It is a massive system underground that I had that I spent a long time building, and I'm very happy now that the actual scale of this thing is now showable once again. You no longer have to go look at my old videos back before Void Fog to see it. You can now just look down here, and yeah, I'm very happy about that. Void Fog I found just to be a general annoyance. I didn't find it really added anything or made anything difficult. It just made living underground look bad unless you can get sunlight down there. So didn't really like it for a long time, but that's now gone, so I'm super happy. But that is going to be doing it for changes. Now, there's other things that were added to the game. Most notably were the Guardians and the Prismarine, but like, I'm probably going to dedicate a whole episode to that in the future. Like, that is a whole big thing. Like, Oceans wound up getting a whole new generation thing, and you can wind up going out and raiding them. So that's super cool, and I'm probably going to do it. And they officially added sponges into the game, so sponges were already in, but they didn't do anything. They were just kind of like a block that took up a slot in the creative menu, but now they're actually a thing. Like, they have purpose. So that is something that we'll probably wind up seeing me use in the future. But I do want to raid one of those on an episode. Like, have its own little special is me, if I can ever find one of them, because apparently they aren't exactly the most common. I will need to locate one, and I need to go to new terrain to do it. But yeah, that's something I hope to do in the future. But either way, guys, I hope you enjoy 1.8. It looks super exciting. We've been waiting for so long for this. This has been in snapshots for an eternity now, and I'm so happy to finally see this hit the main scene, because in my series, I don't really do snapshots. I try to stick to main releases outside of when like the official release was being teased. Everyone was playing on the pre-releases, just because 1.8 was basically like beta 1.8 was basically a pre-release, so might as well have played on the pre-releases. But anyways, guys, that's going to be doing it for today's episode. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope you guys have fun with 1.8, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. If you guys have any ideas of things you want to see me do in this series, then be sure to tell me. I love seeing you guys' ideas. That's going to be it for today's episode. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be seeing you guys here in the next one. So long. See ya. Bye. And store the book with the rest of them. Aha.